deputy political editor for The Sun. He's on every week. We love him. Ryan Sabey, a very good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Afternoon, Jeremy.
I noticed the front page of The Sun has nothing whatsoever to do with politics. It's about Oasis. I have to publicly announce I'm very excited. I'm going to Wembley on Friday and I've got a bucket hat. My wife's bought me a bucket hat, so there we go. A 60-year-old pretending don't look back in anger. Very embarrassing.
I'll suit you. I think you look good in it.
You're very kind.
I want to see a picture.
You probably will. Ryan, I'm really interested from a political point of view, from the Sun's point of view. Farage obviously quite vocal yesterday on lawlessness. Labour and the Conservatives jumping in, going, hold on a minute, you know, it's going to cost 17 billion quid. Is it resonating with your listeners? It's your readers? It's resonating with our listeners because he's actually talking about the things that people are concerned about.
Yeah, no, he's talking in people's language and what they're seeing on the streets, and they want actually things being dealt with, and they need someone who's going to attack this. With actions, just not words. Now, it's very easy doing things when you're in opposition. Getting into government will be another matter, but I think at least it's resonating, and I think they like the sound of three strikes and you're in prison for a very long time. And I think that's what the public want to hear, and I think that's the actions that people want politicians to see. None of this, being sent to prison for 10 years, being out in 3, not.
Has he said that? I'm really glad. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm really strong on this. I've never understood in all of my life under Tory rule, Labour rule, why if you get 5 years, you can be out for good behaviour. In my humble opinion, you commit a crime, you should do the time merited by that crime that you committed, because the victims of that crime, they're not feeling half better after 2.5 years if you've got 5 years. Is that included in Farage's plans, by the way, that they'll have to serve the time?
He said that they will have to do a life sentence. That was just me giving an indication of where there's frustration in society. But I think if whatever offence that you carry out, if you carry out 3 of them, you will get a pretty tough sentence. And I think that's where that's kind of where the public is. They want to see whether it's high-level crime, whether it's low-level crime being carried out on the street corner, antisocial behaviour, the broken window syndrome, where you attack people who are carrying out those crimes because they then don't go onto those bigger crimes. And I think that is where the public are.
I mean, I've always believed, it's like they go on all the time about migration and deterrence. Stop being so soft. Stop giving so much. That's the same with crime. I was talking to a guy in a petrol station on the way in, and he was saying when he was a kid, the copper would give him a clip round the ear, and I'm going to tell you, Dad, I play football with him, I have a drink with him down the pub. You're in trouble, son. And when your dad gets home, he's going to clip you around the ear. Nowadays, I'm suffering from anxiety. I think he's onto something. I know they'll argue about the money. I look at 17 billion. I think you gave 16 billion to Mauritius for the Chagos Islands, for Christ's sake, and 11 million. I want to talk about this, 11 billion to these bleeding doctors. I'd love the Sun's response to that. This strike going ahead on Friday, 5 days from a bunch of really politically active, motivated BMA people on the back of a 23% pay rise. That doesn't resonate with anybody, does it, Ryan?
No, exactly. And I'm just reading some words now that Wes Streeting has just put out. You can feel the frustration and the anger in the words. He tried to get them around the table. He tried to have constructive discussion. He put some really constructive things on the table, trying to change their work rotas, maybe try and pay for some of their medical costs along the way. And they've just walked away. And now we're going to see, treatments or operations being cancelled along the way.
Life-saving operations. Dreadful.
Exactly, and this is one thing that the government obviously don't want. They want to try and bring down these waiting times, and it just adds to the sort to the anger. And it actually seemed like the government were making some headway with this. So this,
but did it, or would it be fair to say that the incredibly politically left-wing BMA did Wes Streeting like a good one? Because he came, didn't he? He gets the job. Within the month, he's going, it's all sorted. There's no more strikes. They've had 22%. I said it at the time. A lot of people, I was a bit forced, but it's true. The minute you give one of those unions 22%, they're all going to come. Well, lo and behold, they've come back for more because they know that he'll probably bend again, and he's disappointed. I would say it's particularly naive of him to have bent in front of the unions and given them everything. But this, I mean, you make a really good point. People will die. People will miss out on life-saving treatment. I think these people are a disgrace. A disgrace.
Yeah. And I think there was some issue that NHS leaders actually wanted to make sure that it was not quite business as usual over the next 4 or 5 days. And I don't think that the BMA were actually going to go along with that. I think there could be 50,000 these resident doctors on strike in the coming days, and that is just going to cause a whole heap of problems. You know, when it comes to people missing appointments, and you know, some people have been waiting on these appointments for months and months and months, and to sort of get told the day before or just a couple of days before just puts them back.
I'm with George in Blackpool.
It's not good news.
I'm in George in Blackpool. Some people won't like this. Whatever happened to the Hippocratic Oath, Jez? First, do no harm. Surely these striking junior doctors are breaking that oath and should be struck off. It's a very interesting point. People will be genuinely angry. The other thing today is, from a political point of view, love to get your take on this. I thought Poppy Coburn from The Telegraph just made a really good point, because she was saying that the Labour Party, specifically the front bench, are so ideologically based and so naive that they provide a soundbite and they think that's it. But the British public are waking up, and that's not enough. So today we've had Angela Rayner has said that ministers must accept the real concerns that people have over immigration. Rachel Reeves has said companies should not always resort to the immigration lever to fill vacancies. And Sir Keir Starmer said there's plenty of spare housing for illegal migrants and people. 3 things that people really are concerned about, and that's it. Just 3 sentences. Nothing concrete. It's not the way to govern, is it, Ryan?
No, well, I thought particularly yesterday when we had Sir Keir Starmer talking about migrant housing, saying that there's almost saying that there's plenty of space for everyone. Well, hang on a minute. I think there's more than 1 million people on that sort of social housing waiting list. I'm not quite sure what was going through his mind actually when he was saying this, and he said that it will come back to those select committee chairmen and say, I will give you the detail. But really odd comment. And even those Labour chair people, he had Meg Hillier there, very respected MP, just sort of sat there sort of flabbergasted. Where are you getting these figures from? So it'd be interesting to see what the civil servants, I'm sure they'd have been panicking last night to say, well, what did you mean? What were you actually trying to say?
1.3 million people on the social housing wait list, and a government that thinks that a soundbite will wait. Really good. Just very quickly, do we think the junior doctors, do you think the government, very quickly from a Sun point of view, will they stand firm, or do you think they'll bend again to these junior doctors? What do you make of it?
I think they'll just let them get on with this, and they will, with the strike over the coming days. I think after that they'll try and get them round the table again. They will try and say, like, there's no more money on the table. Let's try and come up with one of these sort of new working conditions arrangements to actually make their working life a little bit easier. And that may be some kind of compensation to the
Try telling that to somebody down the mine. Ryan, it is always an absolute pleasure. We thank you and the team at The Sun on a daily basis. Deputy Political Editor of The Sun.